Hi, welcome to Gouache with Anne. Today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to do a tutorial, and the subject matter I'm going to choose today will be values. So, what are values? Values are the lightness and the darkness of a color. And the other question is, are values important in a painting? Well, I think that values are probably the most important thing in a painting. So what's important is to get that contrast between the very light lights and the dark darks and all the grays in between. So if you have a painting and you only have grays, then you don't have any contrast. Your eye doesn't know where to look. So in a painting that has a nice distribution of values, lightness and darkness, then your eye knows where to look because you've put the focus point where the lightest lights and the darkest darks are. So yes, values are very important, and getting the right values, is that difficult or not so difficult? Well, one of the things that's difficult is that it's hard sometimes to tell whether a color is light or dark or where it sits on the value scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a value scale, then you can do one yourself, and then that really helps to judge where those colors sit, because some of them, like for example red, it can be a very dark value, but when you look at it, it actually looks like it's quite bright and quite light. So there's a good example. And so what we'll do is we'll do the value scale. The other thing is I'll show you how to do a value study for your painting, and I'll show you some of the ones I've done before and the one I did for this particular painting too. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I plan to do more tutorials in the future touching on subjects that I think are really important. And yeah, let's go ahead. I've done flowers today, which I really enjoy doing. So I hope you enjoy it. You can see here that I've got 10 squares, and I'm going to start with white at one end, and I'm going to add a little bit of black as I go, and eventually I'll end up the other side with a solid black. So that's the idea. In some cases I'll have to correct a little bit at the end because the middle colors, the middle values are a little harder to get. Now that I have my value scale, I can use this when I'm working on a painting to make sure that I am using the right value. Here are some value studies that I've done. When I approach these value studies, I am looking for light, medium, and dark. And I'm looking for big shapes. So lots of what's the light shape, what does the medium shape look like, and where are my darks. And because I only have the 4 markers, it really limits me. So that's a good thing, because that way I can just concentrate on those bigger areas and not go into the details right away. The light values are in the flowers, and then some of the medium values are also on the flowers, but those are the flowers that are in shadow. And the very dark values are in the background. Especially there's some areas that are very dark, and I want to make sure that I use those darks to define the flowers. The petals really distinguish what type of flower this is. I'll start with a wash of gouache, so gouache with lots of water. And I like kind of getting a feel for the painting, so I know that I'll be doing things a bit darker, but I'll get in the background the green of the leaves in the background, and then I'll get in the pinks of the flowers as well as some of the shadows. Now that I'm putting in the background with gouache, the opaque gouache, I'm going to use that to define the petals of the flowers. The first part, when I put the background in, I can do it a bit roughly, and I'll add different shades of green. Later on, I can define it a bit more. It's a real process, I find, of going back and forth. So I put it in just so I can see what it looks like, and then I can keep adding and taking away as I progress on the painting. Now that the background's done, I'll start working on the shadows of the flowers. I will use, for the white flowers, I'll use a bluey color for the shadow part. And for the pink flowers, I'll use a purpley blue color for the shadows. It's good to kind of figure out what colors you want to use for the shadows. I do adjust mine a little bit, but generally that's what I'm going to go for. Generally, when I'm working on the flowers, I'm trying to get some lights and some darks within it, even though I'm also trying to keep the value correct. So if the value is quite light, then I'll make sure that I don't vary it too much. I like working on each of the petals within the flower. I like to make sure that I'm getting the right value, and also to define them a little bit. Now that I've got the values of the colors correct and more or less done, I can start working on the outlines of the petal shapes. So that's where I really want to make sure that they're defined in the areas that I feel that I want them to stand out. I'll also work on the shadows and make sure that in some of the cases where they're more hard edge, I'll make sure that those are really defined as well. What's nice about this composition is, and what I really like, is the depth that the different flowers give it. The flowers that are in the foreground, that are in the light, and the flowers that are behind, that are in the shadows. At this point, I'm really just adding more and more details to the centers. So I want to give the centers a bit of volume, because they actually do protrude a little bit. So that's nice to have a bit of shape to them. And then also a few highlights in. Then that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on values. I hope you learned something, and I hope you'll do a value scale for yourself and a value study when you do your next painting. Please let me know if you enjoyed this, and I will try to do more tutorials on different subjects. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any of the new videos coming up. Please comment and like. And if you have any suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.